Happy Bank Holiday Monday, lads.
Same to you, Benji.
It's a nice, chill start to the episode this weekend because we were going to come in with a big intro and go, what a weekend of football. Chelsea were incredible. They battered. But we're just going to have a little chit-chat about what we did at the weekend, didn't we?
Bank Hol's nice and quiet. Firstly, missing Mark from the hot seat.
Yeah.
Missing Mark, hopefully. Back next week.
Hopefully.
Next week, won't he? I've got a little present for Mark next week as well, actually.
Have you? Oh, he's definitely coming then.
It's nothing major, but it's a little present. We were down at TaylorMade, weren't we? I got some new clubs measured up the other day. And they sent me, my clubs have arrived, by the way. They're phenomenal. Already. And they've sent a little present for Mark.
Sam from TaylorMade.
So we'll give it to him on the show next week. Good weekend, though, lads?
Very nice. I was celebrating my wife's sister's 40th birthday down in Northampton. Yes.
Very nice.
Great. How about you, Benny Boy?
Lovely. Went to a festival on Saturday with the fam. We got absolutely rained on, but we didn't care. We had a wicked time. And then yesterday, I had Big Boaz Mayo and his family round. It was lovely. It was lovely.
Talking goalkeeping.
We went and played a little bit of two-touch in the garden. I think I've hurt my patella tendon a little bit, but...
How's Bo's two-touch these days?
He's all right. He's not quite as mobile as what he used to be.
Okay.
It was good. It was funny, at least. What about you, mate?
Yeah, cracking, mate. Had a gravel kind of bike ride with my mates yesterday. Amazing.
Windy yesterday, right?
Yeah, it was, but we went down like canal and did some little off-route track.
New bike, Tom, as well.
Yeah, new gravel bike. But yeah, it was mega. So much fun. I need to take you on this route, guys. Both of you, because it's like starts from Leamington. It's like it's fantastic.
All right. Did we watch any football though?
Yeah, all of it.
Of course.
I
watched
like that.
it all. I'm ready to go on the football.
I was dipping in and out of it, but I've definitely watched all the highlights. We've watched everything. Who should we start with? Should we start with Chelsea?
Can we start with Wolves-Chelsea?
Yeah, we'll start with Wolves-Chelsea. What a bad start for the season for Wolves, by the way.
Yeah, mate, it's...
You're a Wolves fan.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm a Wolves fan, and we got absolutely pumped yesterday. Was it yesterday or Saturday?
Yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday, wasn't it? We got absolutely pumped yesterday. But I said to Watto, before the game, it felt like a bit of a throwback game in terms of, one, it was really exciting.
Yeah.
But secondly, the amount of times, the players, both teams, Chelsea in particular, they carried the ball.
Yeah.
Took on players.
Yeah.
It was crazy. We said that earlier, didn't we, Watto?
But I think that might have been down to certainly Maresca for Chelsea thinking, look, he fancies his wide players. Obviously, we'll get on to Sterling and why he's not in and whatever. And, of course, he's such a talent. But I think he really fancies some of the players in that Chelsea team. If they can isolate him on a 1v1, they'll have a go and get past them rather than the intricate passing moves.
They've got pace and they've got players willing to want to take... That's the difference, is having the confidence to want to take a player on and beat them. I was really worried for Wolves, though, at how easily they were countered on. It was embarrassing at times. Virtually every goal that Chelsea scored was from them, counter-attack, numbers, and they were just overloading. Wolves weren't getting back quick enough. Chelsea were just way too quick, and they were just cutting them open.
Mate, it could have been 10-9 yesterday.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a really open game, but it surprised me because obviously we spoke about Wolves last week and only getting beat 2 at Arsenal was probably not a bad start.
Yeah.
And we actually were quite critical of Sarr in the goals for the 2 goals. So I didn't expect them to be as exposed as that. And Chelsea, obviously, a tough start against City. But they went into the game free-flowing, really on the front foot. But I probably think they were quite surprised how wide open Wolves were, especially in that transition.
Yeah, how easy it was. I think there's so much negativity about Chelsea, and probably rightly so, because the way that the way the club is run, the way that they've been doing it, is not a model that's going to work. For me, it's not going to work. It's having played football and seeing what giving long contracts to young players does to them, it's not going to work. It's as simple as that. We'll talk about Raheem Sterling again, and I know a load of people have spoke about it.
What about on the pitch, though, Fozzie?
On the pitch, this is what I was about to come on to. Fair play to them, though. On the pitch, it looks like Maresca has a set way of playing football, and he's got probably 16, 17, 18 players that he wants, and that's it. And he wants in his team and suit the system that he wants to play. And they were devastating yesterday. They were devastating. I know it was easy for them because Wolves were very poor, but for them all to be on the same page and knowing that when they are counter-attacking, everybody goes together. Yeah, that's a big problem. I watched Liverpool yesterday. They did the same thing. On the counter-attack, Liverpool, it is frightening. In fairness, though, if you're going to play against a Liverpool or a Chelsea and you know they've got that much pace, when you get a set piece or a corner for you, it might be your worst nightmare because
dangerous.
if that ball doesn't beat the first man or gets cleared to the 18-yard box and it's not you that's picking it up, they're going to counter-attack on you and they're going to score because they're going to be faster than you.
It's the level, isn't it? It's like, I mean, to be fair, like you said, there's a lot going on off the pitch at Chelsea, but they looked really good yesterday. But I've got to ask you, Madueke scores a hat-trick. He was in the press, obviously, before the game, Watto. So he's come out and said, put a picture on, I think, was it Twitter or Instagram, saying, everything about this place is SHIT in reference to Wolverhampton.
He's not wrong, though, is he? I'm only joking.
Wow. No,
I'm only joking.
You know what? Right. What I would say is, it's very different bowling round Knightsbridge.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
On the King's
Fulham
Road.
and
on the King's Road.
Then Wolverhampton City Centre.
I think it would have been a cultural shock to him when he had a little pre-match walk and he saw the environment. Not necessarily that you put it out there in the public domain, but fair play to him. He apologised and he let his football do the talking. I don't understand.
He got the wrong Instagram account. He put another picture. He put another story out afterwards saying, "Sorry guys, wrong Instagram account." So he's obviously got a personal one that he probably meant to send it to all his mates, his close mates, but he's managed to put it on his main account. But it doesn't matter. The second you press send, that's it. It's getting screenshotted and it's getting spread around.
Game over.
Game over, mate. So when he turns up to the game, he better deliver because he got booed. Like from the very get-go, he got booed like you wouldn't believe, right?
And then he scores a hat-trick.
And then he went and scored a hat-trick. So every time he touched the ball, he's getting booed, but still managed to step up and score a hat-trick.
He's going to be forever hated. He's going to be alongside Ben Foster.
Yeah.
With
The most hated man in Wolverhampton.
Most hated man in
fantastic.
Can we talk about Cole Palmer, Fozzie?
Yeah, brilliant, incredible. Just yesterday was his dream sort of game where they're countering, attacking. He's got time, he's got space, and he is able to get his head up and just swap players in, just roll players in. It was so easy for him.
I mean, like you said though, Watto, how much time did he have?
Yeah, I mean, for a player of his talent, if you give him that time and space,
game over.
I mean, every pass. Just wait. It's just rolled in for a simple. Yeah, but like there was no pressure from the front. There was no pressure from behind. I mean, for Wolves, it was just a disastrous scenario. For Palmer, it says here on the stats: 15 goals, 10 assists in the Prem in 2024. I mean, that's just incredible. He's a step above the rest of that Chelsea team. And if we talk about what happened last year when they got him for 50 mil, I mean, it looks like the snip of the century now. And maybe Man City will be thinking,
what if?
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. But
I think the thing I said a minute ago there about giving long contracts to young players. Thankfully, I think you wouldn't have to worry about that with Cole Palmer. He would be one of the exceptions to the rule because that kid, you put him on a pitch on a Saturday afternoon, I don't care if he's on £500,000 a week or £10,000 a week, he will still do the same job for you. He don't care.
Is that mentality thing?
That's a mentality thing. He's just a winner. He's just a footballer. He wants to play. He wants the ball at his feet and he wants to play. He don't care all the noise, all the sound. Once he's on the pitch, you don't hear it. He just wants to play.
Mentality-wise, he reminds me a little bit of like Wayne Rooney in the fact that he just wants to go out on the football pitch and
that's it. It takes over. He forgets the noise. He forgets he knows how to play football really effectively, really, really effectively. And he don't care about the tactics. He don't care. He knows what he's supposed to be doing at every given moment, and he just goes out there and does it.
And he don't put out on Instagram when he's on that bus or having a walk around Wolverhampton. He's not bothered what it looks like. He knows what a grass pitch looks like, and he's more than happy to go and deliver on that grass pitch.
XG. Right, so just quickly, Watto, you've obviously been a coach, Premier League, England for a very long time. I want to talk to you very quickly before we move on about XG, because there's a stat that young Jamie did here for us, which is, despite the result, Wolves actually had a higher XG, 1.92 versus 1.56, suggesting they were unlucky. Well, Watto, what do you make of this?
Nonsense. I would suggest that tells me that Wolves probably got in their box 4 or 5 times and they had some big opportunities. But the amount of momentum and opportunities Chelsea had going the other way, and the chances probably weren't as high, but I thought they were really clinical on the chances,
very
to be
clinical,
fair.
yeah.
And I think that's where the difference is.
Yeah.
The Wolves' chances, where you actually get your final contact in between the posts, 6 yards out, would have really lifted the stat, where Chelsea, I mean, some of the finishing, Joao Felix's goal, I mean, it's an incredible pass, but it's an incredible finish. That wouldn't be a high-rated chance. It was just that he's a phenomenal footballer and passed it in and made it look easy. Where I think the Wolves goals, you know, they obviously poking it in on the set play, on the second contact. It's in between the posts. It's a massive XG opportunity. But, like, you can have the stats, whatever. I mean, like you said, it could have been 10-9.
Did you look at it as a coach? When you were, like, in every day, was XG something that you as a coaching team looked at?
Well, you'd look at it because you'd want to know who those chances fell to. So if you had a high XG and your centre forward or the attacking players, if them chances are falling to them guys and you're not converting, then you've got some work to do on the training field to make that output become better. Because if you have got an high XG and it's falling to your attacking players, not your midfielders or your defensive type players in set plays, you've got to get better at converting them. So that would give you something to work on in the front half of the field.
XG is brilliant and all that, but it's about the quality of the player that chance falls to,
yeah.
right? So if you had an XG of 3 per game, yeah, guaranteed each team had an XG of 3, but I had Thierry Henry up front for me, yeah, I would expect Thierry Henry to be putting a couple of those away, yeah. If I had, no disrespect, to Darwin Núñez, for example, right, I wouldn't be expecting him to be putting 2 away. I wouldn't, because he is not as clinical as my striker.
Well, this leads quite nicely on to Villa-Arsenal.
Yeah.
So I think you chalk Ollie Watkins yesterday, just a bad day at the office.
Bad day at the office.
It was just a bad day at the office.
It was a bad day at the office, right?
But
however,
XG-wise...
David Raya, we have to talk about this save, by the way, Watto, please.
Oh, my goodness.
This save from David Raya from Ollie Watkins' header is up there as one of the... I don't think there's many other goalkeepers in the world that save this. And I'll tell you why, right? I'll tell you why. David Raya is about 6'2", 6'1" maybe, right? He's not the biggest of goalkeepers, okay? And weight-wise and size-wise, he's probably 80 kilo, right? He's not as goalkeepers go, he's not very big whatsoever. From the moment that he reaches to try and get the original shot, he doesn't touch it, hits the crossbar, drops down. From that moment to him hitting the floor and him getting back up, I don't think I've seen anybody as quick as that before in my life. To get up that quickly from the floor, right? A heavier goalie, you're still moving.
Bounced off the floor.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. I need to know, right, behind the goal line, is it AstroTurf or not?
It's grass.
Is it just pure grass? Villa Park.
At some stadiums, you only have
that much,
3-4 inches behind the line,
and then it's AstroTurf, right? At Villa Park is the ground is known for being hard. It's a hard surface, right? It's a very, very hard surface. If that's a soft pitch and it's softer, he don't get up in time. I promise you this, yeah? He doesn't get up in time because it's too slow. You're still sliding. He hits that floor and he is up so quickly. I still watch it back now and I'm thinking, it's impossible to hit the floor, stop, and get back up again that quick. It's phenomenal.
Even just as a layman, not a goalkeeper expert, obviously. I watched it and thought, that is remarkable. How quick he
a bigger goalie doesn't get anywhere near it. He can't get up that quick.
I just thought the whole thing with the components, because it's deflection on the first shot, it's quite high, he has a couple of steps, then has to move to his right as the deflection's gone, then he comes back to his left, he's getting his hand up, and to be fair, the ball wouldn't have gone in. I know he didn't touch it, but the loop, he'd got the agility to get back.
Exactly, yeah.
But he ends up 1.5 yards behind the line.
I know.
And at that point, look, he gets up, he sees the balls hit the bar, and he sees Watkins as just coming in to power this header. But how he got from that point and then the spring and agility, it is...
The actual save,
is a goal
once he's up, the save is fairly routine. It's a fairly comfortable save. But it's the magic bit, the magic part of all of it is the hitting the ground and back up again is phenomenal.
Do you think, Ollie, because obviously people are saying Ollie Watkins should have glanced it and put it in the other corner, but do you think Ollie Watkins' mindset is, I'm just nodding it?
I'm just scoring it. Because he knows that 99% of other goalies ain't even getting up in time. So even if he heads it straight at the goalie, it's still probably going to go in off the goalie. For David Raya to be up and in control of all his faculties, is phenomenal.
Good word.
Honestly.
I think he thought he only had to head it. Not only the fact that Raya were down, that he could see that he's behind the line.
Yeah.
So he's thinking, I just punch a header.
It's still going in.
He's behind the line, it's in. Yeah. So to get up and then get your body weight and momentum to drive... Look, we always talk about attacking the ball forward, but he's 1.5 yards behind the line. He bounces up and attacks the ball.
And goes straight forward.
Yeah, and this is the part about goalkeeping. we can talk for hours about what Watkins should have, could have, whatever. But the components that Raya put together to make that save is what's the big thing, because it's phenomenal to even be anywhere near that ball.
Fozzie, we need to talk about Morgan Rogers because he stood out.
Yeah, he was lovely. I saw a nice little compilation that Mark Goldbridge did, actually.
We miss Mark.
Yeah, I know we do, yeah. And Mark was singing his praises like a canary. Genuinely buzzing off him, he was. And rightly so as well, because, he just, how big and strong.
But yeah, and that's the point. There's not too many midfield players this season going to make Rice and Partey look very ordinary.
He was just arming off.
Him. Yeah, he was so powerful.
Phenomenal, wasn't he?
Yeah, he looked the real deal.
You can have people who are good on the ball and can run with it nicely, but powerfully run with it, yeah? When somebody hasn't got the ball, it's much easier for them to use their body weight to get across you and try and muscle you off it. But when you're in control of the ball, you have to forgo a little, because you're trying to be really delicate with the ball. Mate, he has got everything, absolutely everything. I saw Leandri afterwards saying if he could just add goals to it, he's an £100 million player, and he would be. That's the part that remains to be seen, but everything else was just a breeze for him, an absolute breeze.
Yeah, he looked really impressive. But to be honest, I watched the game live, and I really enjoyed watching the game. I thought it were two phenomenal teams, two phenomenally well-coached teams. I was saying to Tom off-air that I thought Emery had got it spot on. They were really tight, allowing Arsenal to play around them, and any time they played in between, they were on the front foot. And obviously we know about Watkins missed the magical save from Raya. But when they nicked the ball off Gabriel and he rolled it into him, he should just stroke it in left foot and it's a goal. Yeah. But Emery had set him up for that one moment, and he's thinking it's fell to the main man in our team, and he put it wide. And obviously for Arsenal, it's a statement win. Villa beat them twice last year, but I think if Villa would have got that first goal, they wouldn't have got beat.
No, it'd have been a completely different game. I would not want to be anybody playing against these two teams. Genuinely, these two teams could beat anybody, and I'll even put Man City into that. I think if it's Arsenal, Man City, Villa versus Man City, it's a proper game.
So do you think Champions League again for Villa? Do you think that top four is a genuine possibility?
Genuine possibility again. Like I just think the way, like what I said there, the way that they're coached, of how well coached they are as well. They're so drilled. Arsenal are the same though. Like you've got to say to Arsenal, it's a fantastic win for Arsenal, by the way. But they are so well coached, and everybody works so hard in it, don't they? Yeah. Works so hard. You should have
been loving it. It was like a Pulis team of old.
It was incredible.
Both teams against the ball, old style 4-4-2.
Yeah.
But front foot,
but
committed
as well. That's the bit there. You can have drilled, and you can have lovely, fairy, fancy player. Mate, every one of them are big, strong men who are committed to trying to do it properly.
It were a proper game of football, and a credit to the coaches, the managers, the players, and the Premier League. The one bit that I found quite entertaining, and you're talking about the physicality and the strength of these players, is when McGinn and White were blasting balls off each other.
Shithouse convention.
It's class,
my God.
It's class.
But it all starts because Saliba and Watkins are having a little roll in the corner, and Saliba's so strong with him, but basically brushes it off, and McGinn thinks, right, I'm going to have to get some physicality in it here. But I thought the ref actually handled it quite well.
Handled it really well. And they're the sort of players you need in your team, you know. You need a Ben White because he's got a nasty... You need a John McGinn because he's got a nasty little bit about him. But I guarantee you they'd have shook hands at full time. They'd have been absolutely sweet.
Ben, do you think Ben White is emerging as one of the biggest shithouses in the Premier League?
I love him, mate. I do. I absolutely love him. He's got everything about him. He has. He's got absolutely everything. He's a class player. He's a winner.
Get back in the England fold now?
It remains to be seen what the England coach is going to be and how those conversations go. But by the sounds of it, he wants to go and start getting back involved in it again, which will be good to see as well.
And what about Arsenal? Do they need another forward? We spoke about, do they need a 9? But they scored bucket loads of goals last season. But just looking at their situation, Jesus injured, Nketiah, rumours of him going to Forest. Vieira's been loaned out. Do they need another body in?
The only I don't know about that. I'm not sure. It remains to be seen. But the only thing I would say is that it would change the way that they play a little bit. If they did get an out-and-out number 9, it would change the way that they play. They're so good at interchanging and overlapping and switching sides, and you go in there. If you had a number 9, they just stay there. That's that guy that stays there. It's like an Erling Haaland, he just stays there. And Man City have had to change the way that they play as well. It works for them because they've got world beaters all over the pitch. I don't know if it would necessarily suit Arsenal. I love Leandro Trossard, though, the second he comes on.
Do you think he enjoyed scoring that goal yesterday?
Mate, his celebration, just absolute bothered. But, mate, the way see how clinical he is, though. Leandro Trossard is, I think he's so underrated as a player. So underrated. Works so hard, does it properly, takes his goals really, really well. When he came on, actually, he was a difference. He was that bit of quality that when he came on, a tiring kind of Villa team, and he was the one that started.
But is this not the level that Arsenal are getting to now, where they've got players like that
coming on
to come on, and then look at Timber? Obviously, last season was it his first game? He did his cruciate last season. He's come in this year. I was watching some analysis saying
I thought he was a big performer
on the ball. They're getting in the ball, which then allows Odegaard to kind of and Rice to push further up. And what did you make of him?
I thought he was phenomenal, and obviously had a real bad injury and. It's taken him a year or so to get back into it. But for Arsenal, it's not been overcritical of Zinchenko, but he's a step above that level. And I thought he played the position really well. Obviously, steps into that midfield area to create an overload and more space. But I think in 1v1 defending, when he got isolated, there were a couple of times Villa had a good transition and he stood up, defended, let his team get back. And he looks the real deal. And I think if they can keep him fit and at it, I think that puts their level up another percentage to get closer to City. And I'm a bit like Fozzie. I'm not sure about the centre forward. Look, any team should want to, if they've got 50, 60 million and you can afford to buy a proper centre forward, whoever he may be, it would make a difference to your team. But I think Arsenal have got a set way of playing now, and maybe Tony, he couldn't play like that.
No, he couldn't play like that.
Even though I really like him as a centre forward. If you go to the guy from Napoli, Osimhen, you know, he's a different dynamic. And Havertz has done really well. Jesus, when he's fit, we know what he can do. So I'm not quite sure either, which sounds really bonkers, because normally if there's a centre forward available and you've got that 50, 60 million and you can put him in, you'd think that close to City, it would make a difference. But I'm not quite so sure either. I think they've got a way of playing. And I think they're getting closer and closer to City.
Like you said, though, Ben, it's the way they play. Yeah. They scored over 90 goals last season. They clearly don't need a 30 goal.
I don't know if it's a case of they don't need it, but it's just it's a direct conflict to the way that they play. It is. It's the opposite to the way they play, and it's almost like you're accommodating one player, so 10 others have to change the way that they play, and the style of the team has to be completely different. Considering it's something that you've worked on for years now. Mikel Arteta has been working at this team, doing it like this for years. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see that if Nketiah does go and join Forest, that they might have a bit of extra cash, a bit of extra wages to go and spend on something. So we'll see what they bring in.
Talking about number 9s forwards, 2 of your old teammates at Brighton.
Yeah.
Okay, mate. How good is Joao Pedro?
Joao Pedro is brilliant. Yeah.
Could you, when you were with him, right? Yeah. By the way, did you see his post-match interview?
No.
He couldn't speak a word of English 2 years ago when you were with him, could he?
That's only because he didn't want to speak to him.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, his post-match interview, full. We could get him as a guest on the podcast.
He's so good now. He is so good. But you can see it as a player. Just talking about him as a player, you can see it as soon as he signed. He's got the devil in him. He has. He's got that devil in him, mate. He's got that little nasty. He'll get in amongst it. He'll head people's heads. He wants to win. He wants to get on the ball. And he's a lovely lad. But he just
looks like he's elevated his game.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
Like when he was at Watford, he was like playing as a 9.
Oh, he's playing a bit all over the shop. He's playing on the wing.
Yeah.
He's playing in the hole.
But he was the kind of the guy
he
there.
was doing a bit of all sorts.
And Troy was saying, was it last week on the show, he was speaking to Tony Bloom and said, watch him this season. We're going to play him more as a 10.
Yeah.
But him and Welbeck looked $1 million, didn't they, Watto?
I really enjoyed watching that game.
Yeah.
And there were a spell in the game where both managers had been pulling their hair out because it went ping-pongy and both teams were trying to win it. But there were 2 good sides, I would say. Yeah. But I thought Brighton deserved it. I thought Brighton were a bit better. United had that spell when they got the goal disallowed, rightly so, obviously. They were a little bit unlucky. The Garnacho, obviously, and it hit Zirkzee on the line. But they had a 10 or 15-minute spell. But other than that, I thought Brighton controlled the game better and looked a little bit better drilled. And the individuals within that certainly looked better. Look, United were playing without a centre-forward, so Fernandes is up there and he's trying to do his best, isn't he? Rashford obviously had a moment or two, but he was offside too many times in the game and making poor runs and poor decisions. You could see that Brighton had been drilled and get that high line And they just had to be cleverer with the play, Man United. But ultimately, it was a good game. Welbeck still scoring at his age and keeping fit. Phenomenal. But the point I wanted to come on to when I was watching the game is the fact that both teams made a lot of changes late in the game. And then Brighton get that corner, 94 minutes. And McTominay's come on as sub. And he goes into that front zone. It's a deep corner. And obviously done set pieces for probably 10, 12, 15 years or whatever. It's difficult when you make the changes. But you've got to know that when you do your team meetings and your practice on match day -1, that everybody is watching and aware of what's potentially going to happen. So McTominay comes on in the first zone. It's a deep ball. First off, he goes back to the line. Now, that might be a tactic for Man United. But as he steps up when the ball then gets cleared, and I know they should do better on the edge of the box, but normally when you're zonal, you've only got 2 or 3 man markers. So when you're zonal, when that ball gets cleared to the edge, you've got to fan and spread. So you cover the whole zone. But McTominay looked like he'd never been in that position. And if the penalty spot's Fozzie's cup, then every Man United player fanned into these positions. And as soon as they played the good ball in and he steps inside, nobody blocks the cross, they've got a 3v0 at the back post because they'd fanned diagonally into this position instead of spreading and covering the width of the 6-yard box and the goal.
And what it does as well is it tells you, though, that like very basic, obvious defending, right, is when a ball is about to get put into the ball like that, the left back should be at least in line with the back post, the 2 centre halves in between the post and the right back on the front post. That's like you've got a bit of cover there at least, yeah? So if the ball is going to come in, it has to go further back. So it's the lesser of 2 evils. They're nowhere near it. Their furthest man is just past the penalty spot in terms of...
There were 3 of them lined
honestly,
up.
Mate, it's absolutely... Again, going on to what Watto said there about McTominay is what you do is when you have your starting lineup, you have your starting 11 players and every player is really drilled on knowing what they're doing at set pieces. So your job at set pieces is you fill in that hole there, that space, that zone. You pick up him. You have that runner. That's what you do, right? And then you'll get the subs on the bench who kind of just think, well, I ain't starting. I ain't really going to pay attention to the set-piece meeting. I'm not going to really look at the board too much like that. It doesn't really seep into them, and that's the problem you've got. You really need to drill them. So when they're about to come on, the manager, coach, whatever, set-piece coach should be saying, right, mate, corner, this is where you go. And if the ball gets cleared, you step up to that position. You can't have 3 players at the back.
I think that's the problem they've had, and obviously fortunate to work in the game a long time. But when you first start and you're doing the set pieces, you only think about the first contact and then the action's done in training. But obviously in a proper match, the second and third phase, and I think that's where I got better as a set piece coach, and I'm not being ultra critical because they may well have done the work, but on that second and third phase, that's the important bit where you've got to latch on to unmarked players and fill zones so you can protect the whole areas of the thing. So the second and third phase is actually now where teams try and attack you more. Yeah. Because if you score a first contact set-piece goal, they're particularly rare in the modern game.
Yeah, it's the recycle,
the recycling of the ball and the second and third action where you can catch a team out, and that's where they're vulnerable, and that's where Man U got done.
Like putting it into layman's terms then, so after that first contact, when it's come back in, are they just ball watching then, basically?
Yeah, exactly. And they've all got sucked towards the layoff wide. As soon as he plays it into them, they've all gone.
Yeah. Because it's so bad. Because it's so narrow. So you think, like you said, Ben, about basics that anyone knows with that back post kind of thing.
It's the ball watching. It's exactly what you said there. It's ball watching, right? Man United have got so focused on going, right, where's that ball? I'm going to keep moving with that ball. The Brighton players are doing the exact opposite. They're doing the exact opposite. They are trying to pull away and create space. And so they're thinking, they're not watching here. It's like hide and seek. Genuinely, it's like hide and seek. They're thinking, they're not watching. Just keep going, keep going. And they still haven't saw us, lads. By the time the ball comes in, all of them Man United players must have turned round and looked at the back post, saw them 3 players and gone, oh, no.
But that's what it looked like to me as an ex-set-piece coach, if you like, that there's one team here not done the work on the second and third phase, and there's a team here, Brighton, who have not scored on a first contact, but know that on a recycle, where's the vulnerable area, and they've got it bob on. Yeah. So even though it's so late in the game, it was fair play to them. I thought they just did Manu Kipper on that action.
Just a couple of things before we go on to City.
Yeah.
Rashford.
Yeah.
You've got Garnacho starting on the bench yesterday.
Yeah.
it's going to come a point very soon where he's going to get dropped, isn't he?
Yeah, he has to. It's as simple as that. He has to. Garnacho would be an automatic starter for me anyway, just because of his work rate. I love him as a player. I think he's fantastic, and he gets into 90%, 95% of every Premier League team because of his quality alone. But his work rate is the bit that in modern day football it's a given now. You have to have that work rate. And Rashford, he looks like he's working, but it's not proper work. It's not intense, right up in people's faces, doing it as part of a team. That's what Garnacho does. So he has to start for me.
And what about the Zirkzee? Was he unlucky there?
Oh, so unlucky.
What did you make of it? Because I wasn't sure when I was
honestly, I was watching the game with Ethan at home, and we both screamed offside, and I thought they were so unlucky. Look, when he gets wide and he's driving that ball in, you want the guy in the middle driving in to try and get a tap in. He's not aware that Garnacho's coming in behind him. And to be fair to him, Garnacho, I didn't think he got the cleanest contact, and I thought it come off just at the back of his heel, and that's why he didn't punch it into the front half of the goal. But Zirkzee slid in trying to get a what would have potentially been a winning goal, and I just hoped for him that his knee were actually over the line and it counted, because he were going to come in for some criticism. I think he's really unlucky. I mean, we talked about Raya early in the show about how you can somehow get your body. But that's a free 1 in a million. Yeah. He'll have slid in training 1,000 times trying to get that contact for a finish and somebody behind him. But to hit him, I thought United were really, really unlucky on that point.
Yeah, it's fine lines. That's football.
Okay, Fozzie, City Ipswich. Looked like a dream start with Smodic getting that early goal.
I don't know whether scoring early on against City at the Etihad is a good thing or not, to be perfectly honest, because it makes Man City go, all right, well, we're just going to really go for it now. Instead of just going for it, we're going to really go for it. Fantastic start for them, but you knew what was coming. You knew what was coming. I felt for the Ipswich goalkeeper, Big Muric. You just can't do that. You can't do that at the Etihad. You know that Man City are going to press you. You know it. It's a fact. You can't dither on the ball and get caught like he did. The second goal, the same sort of thing, really. Dithered, sort of caught in no man's land, didn't end up affecting anything. They'd roll the ball into the back of the net. And when you go away to Man City, you need your goalie to be on top form and saving as many as he possibly can. He did make a world-class save later on in the second half.
Fozzie, just quickly with that one. So with that second one where Haaland kind of knocked it in, is that just acclimatising to the pace of the Premier League? Because he hesitated.
No, he's in a position there where he's already made a mistake early doors. It's playing on his mind. It will do, guaranteed. He's still trying to be a front-footed goalkeeper, still trying to fill that space and sweep up behind his defenders. And he's in a great position to start with. When the ball gets put over, there's a defender that sort of looks like he might be able to get it or not, doesn't quite get it. But it's at that point, that's the difference where a real kind of experienced front-footed goalie goes, I know my defender's not going to get that and I'm going to be on the front foot. So I guarantee you, if Erling Haaland's running through and he sees big Muric coming at him, Haaland's moving out of the way, mate. I don't care how big Erling Haaland is. If Muric is running towards you, you move out of the way and let him clear everything up. And if he'd have carried on and just gone for it, he'd have got it and he'd have cleared it and he'd have snuffed it out. But he didn't. He hesitated, and the second you hesitate in the Premier League, dead.
Another hat-trick, mate, for Erling. Yeah. Is he going to get 40 this season, do you reckon?
Well, I think he's the one player who could possibly reach that mark. The only caveat to that, really, is obviously his fitness. And we've seen that Guardiola, it's the first time he'd never changed a starting 11 since March 2022. So it's whether Haaland stays fit and when they get deep into the Champions League, whether he wants him to keep fresh. But if he can play, certainly against all the bottom half teams and the newly promoted teams, the way City play, certainly at home, he's on to beat every record. I mean, he's phenomenal. But like Fozzie said, look, you stoked the fire, didn't you? Scoring early against them. And, Savinho gets a rash tackle, it's a penalty. Yeah. And Muric makes 2 mistakes within 3 minutes because he's dithered, as you said. Then it's on his mind. They're playing a deep block, Ipswich. Like, there's no need to be so high and wanting to be in that position. And from that point on, actually, they did really well to somehow stay at 3-1 to half-time. I know City rattled the bar a couple of times and should have done X, Y, or Z. But in the end, it was a walk in the park for Man City.
Simple. It's simple as that. It doesn't surprise. It genuinely doesn't surprise. I'm just absolutely fuming because on the morning of the game, I was that close.
The triple captain.
I was that close, I promise you, to triple captain it.
500,000 people triple captain.
Oh, that close as well.
We had a decent game week. I think I got 96 points. You got 92.
Good, mate.
Not
Good.
bad. And talking of records, we were chatting off camera. I read something earlier on. Yeah, Virgil van Dijk's 100th home Premier League game for Liverpool.
Yeah.
How many has he lost?
Oh,
Or have they lost, Ben?
4.
2.
Pathetic. It's pathetic.
It's unbelievable.
A two.
I guess 1, so...
It's pathetic. That's absolutely ridiculous. Did you watch this game?
Yes,
by the way?
I did indeed.
Liverpool...
Ruthless.
Ruthless, mate. Absolutely ruthless. Again, talking about counter-attacks, that first goal that they scored, Jota, just how underappreciated... Not underappreciated, what's the word?
I know what you mean. He doesn't... It's all Salah and KDBs and...
Mate, them guys are worth their weight in gold. Honestly, the way that he runs away with that ball, the pace of the ball to Luis Diaz as well, into space to run onto it absolutely perfectly. I'm looking at that Brentford defender thinking, he's got a chance of getting in here. Luis Diaz just speeds it up even more once he gets on top of the ball. Just, yeah, like I say, we said at the beginning of the show that when you're playing against these big boys, especially your Liverpools, especially your Man Cities and your Arsenals, sometimes you having a set piece, a corner or a free kick where you commit bodies into the box, it can be an absolute nightmare.
But for a team like Brentford, though, that's potentially where
when
their
you've got
chances
even
are gonna come
Tony,
from.
when you've got a Tony playing, especially, yeah, but they haven't, and they didn't get a good ball into the box. It gets cleared, and that first person on the edge of the 18-yard box who's supposed to be backing it up for Brentford didn't get there either. That is game over.
I think for Brentford, they'll be disappointed because I think last year I think were just a one-off for them in terms of where they finished and how the season panned out. I think they're a really good football club, a really good football team with an excellent manager, and we know what their threats are on set pieces, and they're probably the team in the Premier League that work on it more than probably any other because of the stats and all these things that go with it. So they would have really committed as they did, thinking we're going to put Liverpool on the back foot, but their golden opportunity that they see in their mind is the biggest weakness because even though you set up and you've got people on the edge of the box, you lose them battles.
Yeah.
The pace that Liverpool counter at you were phenomenal. But look, Liverpool were the better team on the day. They certainly play slightly more controlled than what Klopp did. And
I was going to say, have you noticed much change?
Yeah, but I think Klopp were a pressing machine from his Dortmund days and took that into it high level. And they still press. They're still a good pressing machine. But I think Slot coming in, Feyenoord Dutch football, I think it's a little bit more controlled, a little bit more possession-based. But what they have, and what they'll always have because of Klopp's 9 years there, is it's still in them. And in the moments where they do press and there's transitions, they're phenomenal.
Yeah, that turnover, Liverpool's turnover is but that, again, it has to be a coached thing.
Yep.
Everybody has to know that they have to be on the same page, that when that ball does get cleared from the corner and when that man on the 18-yard box flicks it on or knocks it on, everyone goes. The whole team go and get up, and it is back to front as quick as possible. It was frightening how fast they broke.
They look phenomenal, don't they?
Frightening.
But then looking at the other side of the city now, like you're looking at Everton.
Oh,
mate, what a tough start to the season.
Really tough start to the season. Listen, you know that going away to Spurs, if you can get all up in their face, you can make it a little bit difficult for you. But if you don't and you let Spurs play, they can pop you 4 or 5. It's as simple as that. But I think I saw, who was it, Paddy Power or somebody like that, I've already paid out on Everton getting relegated already.
Really?
With two games
The
into
thing
the
is,
season.
a Sean Dyche team, you know that they'll rally. You know 100% that they'll rally. But I think the worrying thing for me is, like, look, reading it here, Everton have only got 14 first-team players available.
Yeah.
You can only rally so much, can't you?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult for them. Look, you know, they start at home last week to Brighton, and everybody thinks that Everton should win that game. Brighton now on 6 points. Brighton are a phenomenal team, and I'm not being disrespectful to Everton. It's tough with the number of players they've got, and obviously they play a certain way, and it's not as expansive as everybody would always like, but it's normally solid. But they've conceded 7 goals in 2 games. I mean, Pickford had made 3 saves in the first 10 minutes before the first goal comes in. And I just think they're up against it. Look, they're missing Branthwaite. Big miss. My fear for an Everton is, and I don't know where it sits with them, is if they're in financial difficulties and they've potentially got to sell before the window and they're down to the bare bones and they lose one or two of even the better players. And if they don't, they potentially lose more points. I don't know where it takes them because you can't keep, like Dyche does what he does, and there's not a better man for the job to keep him up for sure. But what's the mentality within the group?
Yeah.
And I think if you're the goalie, Pickford always plays well for England, another good tournament, and he comes in and 2 games in, you're thinking 7 goals, relegation battle again. And I think the whole thing, the momentum's kind of starting to work against them. And I'm not sure where to put Tottenham after beating Everton 4 because they were just so much better. And to me, the whole game were epitomised by Van der Ven for the 4th goal. He's a centre-half, picks the ball up outside his box, and he drives like a £100 million midfield player or a number 10 like Bellingham all the way to the edge of their box and says, "Here, Sonny, just roll that in, mate."
Mate, how impressive is he?
Like for a defender like them, again, you do get defenders that can do this, right? But then they might have to forego a bit of the physicals. To have that pace and strength whilst running with the ball, he was just breezing past people running with the ball. That's how, like when you've got the ball, you're normally slower than the person next to you who's running alongside you because they ain't got to worry about taking a touch on the ball and like messing their strides up and stuff like that. He was still breezing past people with the ball. But that's bad news for Everton, that is. If you've got a big centre-back like that striding through the middle of the park, that's bad news. Dyche would have been showing this video to the lads today, I guarantee you, and he will be picking holes He will be picking holes out of the whole of this video, I promise you that.
So like, with that, Watto, like having a centre-back that can do that and break through these lines, that's going to just cause chaos to another team, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's what Spurs are built on. Obviously, they play more of the possession-based football and the play certainly in tight areas. But a bit like what we spoke about with Chelsea, they've still got players, and this is a centre-half, who can drive, stride, be comfortable, run past players with the ball. And I think Tottenham, look, I really liked them last year, and I said last week, Solanke, even though he weren't fit for this game, Solanke signing a centre-forward like that, I think can be a big component for them. I think they are a really very, very, very good football team. I like the way they're coached and I like what they're trying to do, but I think it's hard to judge them on that game.
Solanke needs to score. Obviously, he missed the game with a bit of an ankle injury. Hopefully, it's not too bad, but he needs to score ASAP. He does. Yeah. He needs to score
That's
ASAP.
why he'll be spewing he's missed that game because you want to get off the mark.
Yeah, it's a big chance for him. And Tottenham got a couple of difficult games coming up now. Newcastle away, Arsenal at home. They're the ones that will be a real barometer of where Spurs are this season. If they can get through them games, get 4 points against Spurs and Arsenal, that is an incredible return.
And what about Everton, Fozzie? Do you reckon? What do you reckon?
Do you know what? I'm not really sure. I trust in Sean Dyche just being able to get Everton over the line. I do. I trust that he would be able to rally and find enough in there somewhere to be able to get them over the line. The 3 promoted teams this season are going to find it tough. I actually quite like the look of Ipswich. I really do. I think they've got a bit about them that could really disrupt teams this season. But I always just think Dyche knows how to get it done.
Ball boy saviours, goal scoring phenomenons. Fozzie, Thomas Soucek, Jarrod Bowen.
I love it. Fair play, because that poor kid was getting absolutely squished is what he was doing.
He was, weren't he?
He was getting squished.
I feared for him.
I know.
They were fearing for him.
I know we're laughing about it, but like that could have been a bit more serious than that, well, couldn't it really? Fair play to the boys for seeing it quickly and, just like rescuing him basically. But this is a big win for West Ham, this. Massive win for West Ham, in fact. And it's been a very poor start to the season for Crystal Palace, who I actually had them as a bit of a dark horse of this season.
Yeah.
But West Ham, they've bought some big players, big signings in the summer. And, players like Soucek, players like Jarrod Bowen, they're tried and trusted Premier League players, and they will score you goals and they will win you games like they did. So this is a massive win for them.
What have you noticed differently about West Ham this season, Watto?
Yeah, I think Lopetegui is a top manager. And, Moyes always used to play with 2 sitters in front of the back 4. I think he's playing more of a 4-3-3 now. He's got 1 sitter in there. And they're trying to be progressive. They're trying to be better with the ball for sure. I mean, they've got good players on the bench still now. Like Prowse only signed a year ago for them. Can't get a game. They've definitely changed up a little bit. And yes, they're still going to be solid for sure. But they know to win football matches, you've got to be more progressive and maybe not as defensive. And I think Villa going there last week and winning probably just give him a little bit of a wake-up call. But I fear for Palace a little bit, and I'm really not sure. Obviously, Guy he's still getting talked about Newcastle, but selling Andersen to
Yeah, I don't
Fulham
like
for
that.
30
I don't
million.
like that. Yeah.
It's not what you want if you're a Palace fan, and obviously getting beat in the 2 games, it's not great if I'm
I read yesterday, sorry Fuzzy, I read yesterday that Andersen was annoyed because they didn't match the offer, and allegedly he was on 75 grand a week at Palace, and rumour is it that he's gone to on 150. At Fulham. Now I don't. This is obviously just what I'm reading.
Fair dues.
But straight away
if you can get it, fair dues. But still, I just think it unsettles the team. I think somebody like Andersen is a guaranteed starter week in, week out, and he's so settled and stable, and you know what you're going to get from him. And I think sometimes a player's value doesn't really match their worth. So I know you might have got 30 million quid for him, but the worth to the football club of how stable he makes that team, I don't know, I just think, why bother? Why bother with messing it? Just give him another 25, 30 grand a week. He's happy, you're happy, you know he's going to be starting every Saturday afternoon, sweet as a nut. But the only problem as well is, though, that Palace will have now, though, is that everybody else knows they've got money. So now that they've raised some money from Salah and these players, Elise and Andersen, every other club know that they've got money to spend, so they can bump up the prices.
And when's the deadline day? Friday.
Yeah, we've got, 10 days, haven't we? No, not even that. We've got less than
4 days.
If Gahey goes...
Mate, they can't let Gahey go.
They'll have to have something lined up.
Andersen moving has absolutely killed Gahey. Absolutely killed him, because Gahey sees that and goes, oh, you bastard. Oh, you. That was mine.
Will he be texting him? Saying...
Guaranteed. I guarantee you he would have texted him and said, I can't believe you've done that to me. Obviously light-hearted, but it has its killed.
No, you're right. They can't get rid of any more because, to be fair, him going, Guy can't leave, or they'd have to have replacements lined up. But what's the feel for Eze? What's the feel for Wharton?
Yeah.
You know, 2 of their star performers as well. They've got to knuckle down. They've got to get to Friday, actually lose no more, try and get a couple in. They won 6 games on the spin at the end of last season. They've lost the first 2. Momentum changes very quickly in football, and they need to stabilise the ship very, very quickly. Yeah. And really, they'll be praying for the winner. Nothing else out, and then we can work to stabilise the team. But worrying time a little bit for the fans for sure there.
Okay, Fulham 2-1, Leicester. Leicester going to struggle a little bit this season, I think, Watto.
Yeah, well, they got a good result against Spurs, didn't they? But they're at home. They've got the momentum promoted team coming up. It's a game going away to Fulham, and I think Fulham, top 10 team, 100%, made some real good signings this year. Potential, maybe even a few more to come. I think again, well-coached team. Smith Rowe comes in, not quite what Arteta wants for Arsenal to get to that next level.
But
you take him to Fulham, basically guaranteeing you a top 10.
Yeah.
But Leicester would have seen this game as a chance, and you think you can get to Craven Cottage, nice ground to go to, not particularly hostile, and we can get something. I think Fulham
Fulham at home, especially.
Fulham will do well this year.
It's amazing, really, because, like you say, it's not a hostile atmosphere. It's not a tough place to go. But when you're actually playing, Fulham are incredible at home. They always have been. Last season, phenomenal at home. I think I agree with you. I think realistically for Fulham, a top 10 would be incredible, but even 11th, 12th, it would be absolutely fine for them. But I do worry for Leicester because I watched them against Tottenham last week. Tottenham could have been out of sight within the first half. They could have been 5 or 6. It really could have been. Managed to get the goal, Jamie Vardy, managed to draw the game. It was a bit sort of out of nowhere, really. I just worry that they probably haven't got enough quality, and with the looming points deduction.
Well, look, if they get points, it's finished, and they're just going to rely on home form to get them over the line, and maybe a little bit of Vardy's experience. You know, if he can potentially get 10 plus for them, it gives them a glimmer. But they're going to concede too many goals.
Sunday afternoon game, Bournemouth Newcastle. Yeah, it's always nice watching a 2 p.m.er, isn't it? Like the preamble to the big one at 4:30 or 4 o'clock or
That's the napping game, isn't
it? Yeah, exactly.
The 2 p.m. one's there.
It is. That's where I'm starting to make dinner kind of thing. I'm watching it. I might have like a beer on the go or a glass of red wine or something or two. It's lovely, it is. Newcastle, they were knocking at the door, and I'm thinking they're going to surely go and score more and more here. And it just wouldn't come. It really wouldn't come. And then Bournemouth had a late disallowed goal, which we need to talk about because I'm still very 50-50 on it.
Yeah, me too. Look, I think Eddie Howe said it after the game. Look, nobody on the bench, none of the staff, none of the players on the field complained about the goal. It was virtually the last kick. They think the game is done. And actually, VAR's come out of nowhere and saved them. When I watch it, I think it's a very, very harsh handball.
Yeah,
I think it's more of a shoulder because it kind of head and it flies off a little bit, but it's up here. It's not under the cut.
They
of the
say
sleeve.
it's to do with the sleeve, right? So they say the cut-off is the sleeve, right? But what I try and do is I try and imagine myself, if I'm in that position and I'm going to head it, right, and it comes off here.
You're leading with a bit.
If it comes off here, I know he got a little bounce just before he's about to attack it, right? So that's what's made his body twist, and that's where the ball is hit there. Hasn't hit any flesh, it's hit the arm, it's hit the sleeve, right? But I still just think, even that, if I was the player that had scored that goal, I would still be thinking, there's a chance that's going to be disallowed. There's a chance that's going to be disallowed.
Look at Eddie Howe after the game, and he was clearly thanking his lucky
he's buzzing.
stars.
He's absolutely buzzing.
Absolutely. But I think we're talking about it more, the fact that it's been disallowed. I think if it had been allowed, we'd have all said, do you know what? I think that's fair dues.
Yeah.
I'm more against the VAR disallowing it, if I'm honest, because I thought it should have gone in the... I understand when it's an arm and there's been some soft ones ruled out. But like that, it didn't seem like a proper handball to me. And I thought they were very unlucky. Probably in the end, it would have fair result, one apiece. If I'm honest, it's a long way down for Newcastle and their fans to go and get something on a Sunday afternoon. Bournemouth, I think, are a good team, and certainly are a good team at home. But I think they were a little bit unlucky for that goal to be ruled out. But I think the result was fair. I think the 1 point for me were what you think to Joelinton's clothesline on Neto. I think that was that was the harshest thing in the whole game.
About this, right? So if this is clearly it's in the other end of the pitch, right? Yeah. Now, if that was one-on-one, last man, he's getting a red card. Yeah. This is last minute of the game. Yeah. It's a professional foul. Yeah. It's cynical. Yellow doesn't feel like quite enough, but red would be too much.
Back in the day, right, it's a yellow and nobody's even worrying about it. Yeah. With how football's progressed now and the laws are so much stricter and tighter and there's replays of absolutely everything. You can see the intent, you can see his eyes, where he's looking as he's running, as he's about to do it, as he's about to commit the crime. You can see everything, right?
That's a big counter-attack. Keep going.
It's a red card. By the letter of the law and the way that we live nowadays, it's a red card. It just finished the game off completely because it was just chaos. The whole thing was chaos. It's like the referee was just going, I just want to blow my whistle now and go home. Well, just let me go.
I think because of the handball and all that stuff, like VAR didn't even review it. It just sent, I'm like, I think the ref just wanted to get off it. Like,
get me out of it.
It's 1-1. They're all relatively happy. I've kind of lost quickly. I've lost the plot here. I'm like, I'm not quite sure where I'm at. Let's get in.
Yeah.
Let's get a drink. Let's get in.
Sorry, quickly as well. I just want to mention Nick Pope, right? I love Nick Pope. I do. I absolutely love him. Me and Boaz were sitting down, we're watching, and every time Bournemouth put a ball into the box, big Nick Pope, right, would come out. He'd either take it or he'd punch it away. Every single time, without fail. Talk about, if you want to learn of how to come and deal with crosses into the box, balls into the box, just watch Nick Pope. It's not even a question of a doubt for him that he's going to come for it. He's on the front foot, he's waiting, and he is already on the move as soon as that ball is kicked. It's so good to see. So good to see. So big.
As well. When we did a podcast with him, you're 6'4", right?
Yeah, he's
and
massive.
People always say to you, like, you're bigger than I thought. Nick Pope made you look small.
He's a giant.
6'7".
6'7", easy.
But the thing is, mate, when he's got that, you've got to come. Because if you have that safe mentality when you've got these God-given attributes...
It'd be wasted, wouldn't it?
What's the point in bloody being like me, standing on the line hoping I'm going to save a couple? Get on the front foot and come and show your quality.
He does. Fair play to him. I do. I love it. Every ball going in, I say to Bale, I go, Popey will get this. There you go, Popey. Well done, mate. That honestly, you don't understand how much pressure that takes off your team. Seriously, when you're a defender, when you're under that pressure and you see big Nick Pope coming out, you just go, cheers, Nick. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Woosah. Absolute woosah.
Yeah. So it's going to be a long old season for Southampton, isn't it? Because like yesterday, I know they've had a lot of shots and all this kind of stuff, but ultimately, the goal from Morgan Gibbs-White, the ball wasn't cleared twice.
Yeah.
Well, what did we talk about the Man U? Second phase, third phase, set piece.
Yep, that's it.
And at this level, and actually look at Forest. Forest don't ever get talked about, right?
Yeah.
On our show.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not being funny, but often we overlook them and we shouldn't.
Nuno,
they've got quality.
What Nuno has done since he came in last season has been unbelievable for them.
Yeah.
Genuinely, has been absolutely fantastic. These are the games, right, that either you get relegated by or you get safe by. Yeah. Genuinely, these are the games for a Southampton, for a Nottingham Forest, that if you win this game, these will be the massive contributors to you either staying up or to you getting relegated. And Forest show exactly why. They will probably be safe this season, and someone like a Southampton will go down.
They have got a lot of quality, haven't they, Watto? You look through the team and got them from back to front, and you look at Nico Williams, Elanga, Morgan Gibbs,
Even
White.
Onye, Peter, honestly, he's a threat, mate. He's a problem. He really is.
Chris Wood,
he's a threat, mate.
striker at that level. You know what I mean? Hey, to be fair, in the game, Al McCarthy's made 4 or 5 saves.
Yeah.
Forest were on the front foot, dominant throughout. And I said last week on the show, that's how important that Southampton not getting a point at Newcastle against 10 men for 75, 80 minutes. Yeah. It just sets the tone again for them. And, home game, Forest, they've got to win it. If you're going to stay in the Premier League, you've got to win it. And
we'll definitely not lose it anyway. You can't go losing it because it's a 6-point swing. You go into the game thinking, we could win this. You come off with nothing and a rival has got 3 points.
But the thing is, I think they'll have come off and the difference between the two teams were, staggering. Yeah. You know what I mean? Forest, it's a tough game. You go into Southampton, first home game, back in the Premier League. But it were like Forest were a top 10 team. They dominated from start to finish.
The mental toll this will take on Southampton will be a problem as well, because like what I just said there, when they're walking off the pitch, Southampton have just played a rival, a Premier League rival, somebody who they think they're on a par with, and Forest have battered them.
They've not laid a glove on them.
They've not laid a glove on them, so they're walking off the pitch going, that's somebody who's supposed to be about the same as us, and we're way short. So they will have all got into that dressing room and gone, we're going to struggle this year, lads.
But I think Forest have got a top manager. I think he last year, as you said, and I think they'll probably surprise a few. I think they'll do better than what we.
Yeah, do you know what? Actually, before we go into the quiz, I just got a quite an interesting one here from Jay. A pre-season fan survey found that Nottingham Forest fans were the most optimistic of all Premier League teams. I mean, how you quite measure that, I don't know. But watching the game, they've got reason to be.
Well, I think. So, Forest, I think, I put it all down to Nuno. I really do put it down to Nuno and what he's done. I think from where they were last season to how they managed to finish the end of last season to taking it into the start of this, 4 points from your first 2 games of your season when you're a Nottingham Forest, when you're a middling to lower Premier League team, it's an incredible start. It is. It's a fantastic start. And they are fully right to be enjoying it and be optimistic as well. Quiz time?
Come on.
Let's go.
Okay, here we go. 10-question quiz. We've got you 3. You ready for today?
Have you prepared an 11th question?
I have prepared an 11th question, yeah.
Well, the standard was...
It was very high.
last
It was
question.
quite
Fantastic.
hard.
And your questions were the best they've ever been.
True that.
want the same again.
Oh, no. Hopefully. Confidence is the
Come on
key.
in, big dog.
Question 1. Cole Palmer got 3 assists versus Wolves this weekend, but who was the last Chelsea player to get 3 assists back in 2016?
Hazard.
No, I didn't finish the question. He also used to be an Arsenal player.
2016.
Cole Palmer got 3 assists versus Wolves this weekend, but who was the last Chelsea player to get 3 assists back in 2016?
Are we doing the coming back in again thing?
You can.
Ooh,
If
we both get it wrong.
And he used to be an Arsenal
Used to be
player.
an
Give him,
Arsenal player.
2016.
give him a countdown. Give him a countdown. I would have had a...
Shut up, you!
5, 4, 3.
Giroud.
No, 2.
I don't know.
We back in?
We are all back.
Fabregas.
Fabregas is the correct
Oh,
answer.
my God!
Yeah.
Not sure I like
You
this
get
back.
me?
Not sure I like this back.
1-0 to Ben.
Oh, my God.
Question 2. Which club have Spurs loaned Timo Werner from?
Salzburg.
Leipzig.
It was Leipzig, and that was Tom.
Salzburg are Red Bull, aren't they?
Yeah, they're both Red Bull. Red Bull Leipzig. Correct. Question 3.
Get on, Tom.
Julian Alvarez left Manchester
Atletico Madrid.
No.
I was going to say it's way too easy. There. You're jumping the gun.
I know. I'm trying to adopt your tactic, Fozzie.
Well, I've been there before. I'm trying to stay calmer this year.
Julian Alvarez left Man City for Atletico Madrid for 87 million, which is a record fee received by City. However, who was their previous highest transfer fee received?
Oh, that's a good question. No.
Watto's lads in the studio today,
And he's doing like...
getting very animated.
I'm going to go Jesus.
Jesus is incorrect. He is 3rd on the list. Obviously, Tom, you can't come back in. I know you're thinking, but you have said an answer.
Yeah, but we might be.
After,
He might,
right?
Yeah,
might
yeah,
be.
It looked like you were about to say something. So
Oh, no.
thought
I know the rules. I know the rules.
5, 4.
Zinchenko.
Zinchenko. No, not Zinchenko. You're all back in. Just think about.
Hazard. Oh no! What am I on about?
Hazard.
Oh no!
Oh.
Big money moves from away from City to another club.
Yeah, I understand.
I got the question,
It's just
yeah.
we don't know the answer.
It's easy if you know,
You're
isn't
gonna
it?
kick yourself.
I already am.
Mahrez.
No.
He was a free one, he? He's as bad as mine.
I don't know.
We talked about him on the show today.
Go on.
Raheem Sterling.
50 mil.
56 million.
How much was Jesus? He was 50,
Jesus
wasn't
was
he?
52, and Fernand Torres was second with 55 million.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Sané was 49 million as
Yeah,
well.
good.
So
Did you get that?
no, that's
No, that was in. Buying
In, yeah.
Selling out, yeah.
so no one got an answer to that one.
No.
Question 4. Scores are 1 to Tom, 1 to Ben, 0 for Y. Career path question.
Ooh.
You like these, man?
Get this,
do.
Ben, yeah. I have played for Barcelona B, Barcelona, Vissel Kobe, Emirates.
Who?
Sorry?
I have played for Barcelona B, Barcelona, Vissel Kobe, and Emirates.
Who are Emirates?
Is that the team?
Team Emirates is a team, yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
He's retired, and he's a Barcelona legend.
Iniesta.
Andres Iniesta. You are correct.
You're helping about a
Well,
bit.
no, you
there.
guys are like
Yeah,
you were
it's a bad
struggling.
question.
Isn't
You're
he
giving too many
Isn't
hints.
he
You
still
are.
playing?
It's not good, this.
He's still playing.
You're
He
giving too many
he
hints.
plays for Emirates team.
Yeah, he plays right now, yeah.
You're giving too many hints.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
2-1 now.
Right, no more hints then.
No more.
Oh.
Question 5. Raya won the Golden Glove last season with 16 clean sheets, but who finished in second?
Jordan Henderson.
With 13. It was Ben. He got Jordan Pickford.
I'll take
Say Jordan
that.
Henderson.
I thought you were going to dispute who said it first or
Nah,
something.
you-
Jordan
I
Henderson.
thought you said Jordan Henderson. I'm like,
that
sorry.
extra.
Hey, I'm not good at the quiz, but
right.
I'm not that bad. I'm not.
Maybe I need to drink more coffee in the morning.
2-2 now.
Definitely.
2-0. Question 6. Ipswich haven't been in the Premier League for 21 years, but who is the only team who've had a longer spell out of the Premier League?
Barnsley.
No.
But I've been back into it, so
Yeah.
there's
Oh.
spell in between the two.
Yeah,
Oh,
So they're back in. Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Jay.
Luton.
No. They're not in the Premier League right now.
Oh, no, they're in the Premier League now.
Yeah.
Question-
Surely
question
they're
was-
a
No, it didn't
they're a
say-
Premier League
no,
team.
No,
It didn't say that now, see?
No, you don't have to. No,
So
don't
they
have
don't
to
need to be a Premier League team
No,
now?
you don't,
No, but a gap
So-
between when they
Oh.
used to be in it to when they were last in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ipswich, yeah.
I feel like that's
And
a
what were the?
little
How many
ambiguous.
years did you say? 21 for Ipswich.
21 years for Ipswich, and the other team is 23. I believe.
Are we back in?
No,
What's
I ain't had me go yet.
5, 4, 3.
I want to say Blackburn, but it's not Blackburn.
Not Blackburn. You're all back in. 5, 4.
Wow, that was a quick timer.
Portsmouth.
No.
Sheffield United.
No.
Keep counting.
Derby.
3. Nottingham Forest.
Ah.
Correct answer. Question 7. The scores are
It's
2.
currently it's
2-0.
tight.
2-2 now.
2-2-0.
Yeah.
Very tight.
Watto's on the nil-offs.
Oh.
Question 7. Another Cole Palmer question. Cole Palmer has just won the PFA Young Player of the Year award, but who was the last Chelsea player to have won that award?
Hazard.
Hazard's the correct answer. Love that, Watto.
You see that?
That was rapid.
Did you know? Did you?
Just
Could
saying
you
Hazard
yell
for
me? Did you
every
yell me?
answer.
Yeah, he is. Just
That's all right. You're going to get one, ain't you?
Question 8. Who is the oldest goal scorer in Premier League history?
Teddy Sheringham.
Teddy Sheringham. Correct answer.
That one's for you, Jamie Reynolds.
Yeah.
Remember?
that's what I mean.
Well, that not
You're
Hazard.
asking him questions that you know he's gonna know.
No?
What?
What do you mean?
What on earth?
Hey, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
We're asking him questions you know he's going to know.
40 years and 268 days.
Oh, fair
Wow,
dues, Teddy.
What a player he was.
Question 9. Tom is in the lead.
Ooh.
Who is the only player to play in 23 Premier League seasons?
Milner.
James Milner's the correct answer.
Thank you, Watto.
Watto on the comeback surge.
I tell you what, 3-2-2.
Watto could bring this to a tie.
What about-
I asked you.
Question we on?
Question 10.
Oh, I thought that was the last one. I was clapping him for winning it for me.
No, I said you need a tiebreaker. Come on.
Question 10. Before Doku assisting 4 goals in one game last season, who was the previous player?
De Bruyne.
to do so? No.
To assist 4 goals
4 goals, yeah.
in any Premier League game.
Any Premier League game, yeah.
I don't know. It's a
5.
No, 5. No.
Hey, I might get back in here. Come on.
Get back in, I'll give you a clue.
No clues.
Okay. You're losing.
Yeah, that's why I don't want a clue. I want to get back into the question.
Okay.
Mahrez.
No.
Son.
No. Okay. Do you
We
want
back-
a clue?
Yes.
No, I don't think it's fair.
I do.
Okay. It was
Say it, Watto.
it was on the first game of the season. It was a Manchester United player.
First game of the season when?
When I was at Watford, so 23 season.
It was a Manchester
No,
United.
21-22 season.
Fernandes.
No. He scored a hat-trick on that day, I'm pretty sure.
Honestly.
First day of the season. I can't really give you any more clues.
It could be anyone. Oh, it can't. It's going to be an attacking player, and it's not Fernandes.
5, 4.
Luke Shaw.
No.
We got to go again.
Scott McTominay.
Paul Pogba.
Oh, it's good.
FPL. People put him in there. Yeah, 4 assists.
I'm off the board for the season.
Yeah, he's off
Well
the
done.
board.
Off the board for the
Well
season.
You were the
done,
better
Tom.
player. You were the better player. We can't complain. You
Well
were
done,
better.
guys. Well done.
Simple as that.
That's incredible. Pogba 4 assists. That's
4
the
assists on
most.
the first day, opening day of the season.
Very good.
FPL dream.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
So there's only 1-0 on the board now, and it's Marky
Mark's at only
G.
0,
Yeah.
yeah.
Needs to come in to do that.
Yeah,
though, didn't
got
Oh, imagine that,
got
yeah.
it in.
Well done, lads. Jamie, very good today. Well done.
Thank you.
Great question.
Again?
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it. Lads, well done. See you all next week. All the best.